Hello, my sweeties. It has been a minute. I've been going through a whole lot, but I'm back. Ooh, and I'm so glad to be with you. We're gonna have Dwight McKee talk about having what old home week here today. So everybody, please, hey, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. But I'm so glad to see you. Hey Bernadette. Hey Andre. Easy peasy. How you doing, sweetie? Hey. Just thought I'd talk to you all for a little bit. Let me see. What's this? Let me see this. Oh, that's not perfect red for me, but it's beautiful. Hey. Oh, but I'm glad to be with you all. Hey. Hey, girl. I'm so glad to see you, easy peasy. Hey, Carol, what you doing, sweetie? How you doing? How you doing, everybody? You know, I had some health issues and I had to take care of those. They happened pretty suddenly, but I am back and feeling great. We're going to do three shows today. Today, we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk with Dwight. We're going to get him back up in a hot second. You can see Dwight McKee. He has been battling back. Uh, and thank God his health is being restored every single day. And we got him right here. We're gonna go up. Dwight McKee.
Hey, yo.
Hey, it's just you and me. This will be fun. I
Oh, it's just
know.
you and me today?
Just you and me.
Good.
That is
I
exactly
want
right.
you
Uh-huh.
at some point I want you to meet. I know we ain't started yet. My
Yeah,
friend
yeah, we have
Joshua.
actually. We have. But so just
We'll talk about it during the break.
okay, well, we're live once we go off. But I'm glad that you are here. Carol Soskin's here, Bernadette, Andre, everybody. Please like and share, like and share, like and share. Come up. I know you haven't seen me in a minute, but I'm glad to be back. And what we're going to do with, that's right, Andre is saying, hey, Mr. D. White.
Hey,
And everybody's so glad to see you back. And I am sending you all of my love, everybody. And you know how Dwight McKee and Robert Patillo and Bryce Green and a few people actually got Ukraine and Gaza right? Well, we're going to go over that with him today to talk about where we were, what he foresaw, and what he foresees. How about that? So we got a lot to talk about. Okay, all right. Okay, so there you go. But I'm glad that you all are here and thank you so much. Oh, I missed you too, correctional officer, for the lockdown. I really missed you. But I'm glad to be back now. So I'm going to bring Dwight McKee up. He is here. And we are going to get right to this um, in a hot second. Dwight going to come up in 30 seconds.
all righty.
Okay. So there is that. Okay, we're up in 10, 9. Oh, no. 4, 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Should I say welcome back to me? To the Santita Jackson Show. We've got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about. A lot of subjects we're going to be covering over the next couple of days. We'll be talking about right now with Dwight McKee, Ukraine and Gaza. You know, when he was talking to us about Ukraine and Gaza, 2, 3 years ago, many people said, you're reaching, Dwight. I think you are not right. Well, guess what? Turns out he was correct. There's something that he foresaw. And there are a lot of things that he foresaw, and we need to talk about that. We will also be talking about the weaponization of food. That's what's happening in Gaza. We're talking about Ukraine. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed in Ukraine. Has it been worth it? What has really been going on, and what are the next steps? And we will also be talking about Texas redistricting. That is going to have a profound impact upon us, but that's in the upcoming second and third hours of the Santita Jackson Show. But let's get caught up with Dwight. I'm so glad that you are here. And hey, correctional officer for the lockdown, steak and jerk chicken on the grill starting at 5 p.m. Oh my gosh, I wish I could be there. That's presuming I've been invited. Hello. So, everybody, the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Everybody, please like and share, 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 and like and subscribe here. I'm on the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page, Santita Jackson and Friends. Many of you continue to go to Santita Jackson. Please, please, please don't go there. You can only become my friend on Santita Jackson and Friends. So please go there. Santita Jackson and Friends. There's a lot of ground that we've got to cover. I'm on X at Santita J. I'm on Blue Sky, santitajackson.bsky.social. So meet me on Blue Sky, meet me on X, meet me here on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel, everybody. Let's like and share. Let's get right to it. Hey, Bernadette, correctional officer for the lockdown, is going to start barbecuing at 5. And by that time, we're going to be talking about Texas redistricting. We're going to talk about Epstein tomorrow. And I have some observations about the shooting in New York last week. I'm going to ask Dwight McKee about them, about these observations, because I think that the corporate media have been misleading us. Not a surprise. We keep hearing that this is about the NFL. This man drove across country because he was going for the NFL, but the only people that he went after were people who are in the real estate industry. Think about that. I'm going to ask you about that, Dwight, after I lay out some of the facts in a few minutes. But let me say hello to everybody. Andre, sending you so much love. Bernadette, hey, my sweet Carol Soskin, my sister from another mister. Correctional officer for the lockdown. Everybody like and share. K-Mac, how you doing, sweetie? Everybody, Snowman, much love and peace to you. Let's start with Ukraine, Dwight. Or no, at the top of the news cycle, quite frankly, is Gaza. We're watching just a situation, quite frankly, this has been a war that has been waged on the Palestinian people for 80 years, quite frankly. But now we're seeing something because of social media, because of the democratization of content. You can't put this genie back in the bottle, everybody. Now we're watching something that we just can't even imagine. We're watching skinny babies. I asked my mother about that. She said, you can't even imagine such a thing. Babies are supposed to be chubby, but they're being starved to death. People are being starved to death in Gaza. And when people are being told that the food has arrived, when they're hearing that, they are being shot and killed as they approach the trucks with the food. And this is happening every single day. And now you have military contractors from the United States who are coming back with horrifying stories. They're horrified. Tony Aguilar, a veteran who has gone over there to go to work, has tearfully recounted what he has seen over there. And he has been telling us that war crimes are being committed. He did not expect to find the situation to be so dire. He did not expect to see Gazans treated the way they're being treated. He didn't expect that. All of this has been a surprise. And I think this has been a surprise, quite frankly, to the American people. We find out that the underdog is really the overlord. But so tell me, Dwight, when you're looking at what's happening in Gaza now, what do you make of this? What do you make of where we are now?
Well, it's what I said from day one is that all of this other talk is just a pretext for genocide. This is about soil and oil. This is another European's pretext to take another people's land, establish, put their flag on it, call it their own, and it's still out all the natural resources. And so it does not surprise me at all what's happening. It surprised me how visible it has become. But the fact of the matter is
Well, wait a minute. Before you go any further, what do you mean? What has surprised you that it's become so visible? What do you mean?
that oftentimes they're able to hide this kind of blanket genocide. The Germans were able to hide theirs, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to hide, the Australians, they were able to hide on the Aborigines.
Mm-hmm.
People around the world didn't know there was a genocidal effort to take over the whole country. In this situation, because they've been able to wrap up the media so profoundly, and they've almost made it against the law to to march or to criticize Israel, that you almost run the risk of the story not getting told. But there's been enough independent media to be able to cover the story in such a way is now other countries and other nationalities are talking about it in genocidal terms. So the UN has taken, and the African countries have taken a pretty staunch position against what's happening over there.
When you So, what do you think is the impact now? Where do you see this going? Because we're seeing the Congress is still. You're beginning to see. They say like a break in MAGA, in President Trump's base. You're seeing a fracture. You're now seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's jumping out ahead and calling this a genocide. That's something that Bernie Sanders has not been able to do, as of yet. Bernadette says she thinks social media made it known. And so you lived through the Vietnam War. Um, was it Walter Cronkite going over to Vietnam and other reporters going to Vietnam that turned the tide there?
Well, it was body bags.
Oh.
It wasn't them so much going to Vietnam as it was them meeting these caskets at the airport, getting pulled off these airplanes. And people start realizing these are real bodies. These ain't statistics. These are dead children. And so there was then a railing against the war because people start trying to figure out what is this all about? And what is our relationship with the French? And who's benefiting from this? And who's suffering from this and why? And so there became real resistance, not just from the international side, but from the domestic side. So young people actually stopped joining the army. Young people started actually moving to Canada to avoid the draft. We talk about Cassius Clay, quote unquote, Muhammad Ali, but that became in one level a sign of the times. Even our own late Mickey Warren, bless his heart, who was a real patriotic kind of guy, refused to join the military about the war and went to jail. And so when guys like Dr. King, from the guys from Dr. King to Muhammad Ali, start saying this war to Dr. Spock, start saying this war is wrong, it created a public pressure for them to get out of there. And they were losing. That's the other part of it they don't talk about. Is that's a war that America actually was losing.
Do you think that the IDF is actually losing in Gaza?
Say that again?
Do you think that the IDF might be losing in Gaza, that they're not doing as well as they're saying, as is being reported?
I think that there a lot of people in Gaza you have to kill is one without using nuclear war. I mean, bombing two or three or four or five, 20 houses at a time. That's a very long attrition rate. So you may be killing 200 a night, but if you're talking about 3 million people or whatever the number is, that's a lot of people to have to kill. Secondly, there is a lot of resistance, but the resistance is not just to people who are against the war. Resistance from people who feel like they have the right to protest the war if they are against the war, and they find themselves becoming victims and targets of those who don't agree with them, and that's almost never happened in America before.
So what? So where do you see this going, Dwight? I mean, do you see? Well, one of our dear friends, Reverend Donald Parsons, one of the most profound preachers, um, really of our lifetime. He said even clouds run out of rain. Do you see an end in sight for this?
Yeah, I do. Uh, Only because I don't see Trump and his crowd being at the White House anymore, and I think the Democrats have learned better for this next time around. And so I think it's going to be the dominant campaign issue. And the Arabs in the swing states have made a dramatic point that y'all ain't going to vote for us, vote for war, and we vote for you. We'd rather lose than put you in a position to kill our people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they've made that point. And so there's going to be a reassessment of the politics this next election.
So do you see the Arab American community becoming more of a quiet force?
And the students. I
Mhm.
think you'll see round two of the student movement when school starts.
What lessons did you learn in your movement history? And of course, we're talking with Dwight McKee. Dwight McKee is the dean of the Ma'afa Redemption Project, but he's also a founder of, uh, Operation Breadbasket in Chicago, Operation Push, the Rainbow, National Action Network. He's been active in civil rights for 60 years since he was a youth. And I mean, so you help me with that. I mean, what did you see? Because when you and Robert Patillo and Bryce Green and Dr. David Gibbs and a few others were saying, um, October 7th, it's very clear Israel had planned, did not plan for world sentiment to be what it is today. Um, they were saying that this was the Holocaust, and let's be very clear, the Holocaust was a horrific thing. Horrific, horrific, horrific event in human history. Sadly, we have Holocaust frequently throughout history. Americans and just people in general, humankind has not learned uh, that peace and love is the way. We haven't learned that yet, and yet, and I mean, we've come to know that Israel was forewarned about an imminent strike. They did nothing. You got one of the most, there is not a better intelligence service on earth than the Israeli intelligence service. There's not a sharper, smarter army than the IDF. And yet they said that they were caught by surprise. It's very hard to believe, but that's what they say. And now, Dwight, the story has turned, and Americans, at the very least, the plurality, it's now a slight majority of Republicans are critical of Israel. Now, an overwhelming majority of Democrats are, as are independents. What happened?
Well, one is causality played a role in this. Is that you got a chance to pre that terrorist strike to see how Israel almost led to that strike by starving the country and putting the country under embargo in such a way as they left them no options. They really got baited almost, and they haven't react one way or another. Talking about the Arabs,
Mm-hmm.
really kind of got baited because they turned them into an open prison, gave them no rights, and just waited on the results of what starving people, desperate people do, and then use it as a pretext to wipe out the country. Uh, Also, you have to understand what the ultimate goal of Israel was. It was never a two-state solution. They had opportunities for a two-state solution. It never was about democracy, where each Arab and each Israeli would have gotten a vote, a democratic vote. This was about an Israeli state where the most extreme of the rabbis ran the country basically out of the Torah or out of the Israeli holy books, not unlike what they blame Iran for or Iraq for with the Ayatollah. And so this was always about an Israeli state that was dominated by Jewish people with nobody else, including Christians and Arabs, having any rights or any land except them. Now they played the United States. Played the United States into that under the guise of this was God's will. But even that mass has been uh, that bill has been snatched off
Mm-hmm.
because it's very hard now for people to find religious justification for what's happening over there.
But was this religious or was this political?
Huh?
Has this been a religious fight or a political one?
It's been a political fight, but a religious pretext.
Okay. Explain that.
Well, the pretext is that God gave Israel that land. This land is mine. God gave this land to me. That's how the song goes. Exodus. Academy Award winning movie.
Mm.
Paul Newman explaining why they have the right to this land. It's their homeland. That's their political argument. It's a political argument because it's no longer be able to justify biblically because they're not the same Jews of the Old Testament. These are European Jews who were converted in the 6th, 7th, and 8th century into Judaism. But they have a Turkish Russian background. And so they are not the seed of Abraham.
But how does that explain the cruelty? I mean, that's just if they people convert to Christianity, to convert to all kinds of religions. I mean, there's a cruelty here that to me is irreligious. This is just inhumane.
The Bible says you can kill your neighbor and think you're doing God a favor. I think they don't see the Arabs as human people, many of them, and see it the same way that the Nazis tried to see them as vermin and dogs who have no rights, no image of God, not unlike slave masters saw us. The Dred Scott decision said a black man has no rights, none, that a white man had to respect.
That he was bound legally.
None. He was like a horse
Yeah.
or a pig. And what do you do to pigs? Take them to slaughter.
Let's go biblical for a minute. Let's go spiritual. What is it in the human makeup that allows people to treat people this way? I mean, because we see it happen all over the world. I mean, sadly, this is not a unique situation. It's a horrifying one. But we see this. We see slaughters. We see genocides. What is it?
The Bible talks about, and we don't deal with this because we see ourselves, quote unquote, in the age of enlightenment,
Mhm.
not understanding the social impact the Bible has had on modern society. But the Bible still says, in the heart of man dwell no good thing. That the heart of man is evil as you speak. The first man, sons, brothers, sons of Adam, one killed the other. That was just the start. Take that and add 6 more thousand years to it, and see why you had to have the kind of chaos and the kind of violence that we have one to another. Evil is really real in the world. And I don't care how educated you are or how enlightened you are, if your heart is not right or transformed, then that's really who you are. It's the strongest survive.
Hmm. We're talking with Dwight McKee about Gaza, about Ukraine, and about what it is that he saw, because he, quite frankly, was ahead of the curve. And so I wanted to revisit this with him. Robert Patillo sends his love to you. He said he is at a barbecue right now. He's a chef in his other life. He is barbecuing a pork butt right now as we speak. So we send our love. And Dr. David Gibbs is speaking in Washington D.C. right now, but they all wanted to be with you today. Help me to understand what is going on with Ukraine and why it is of concern to us. We have given them so much money, and I mean, we give so much money to these two countries, let alone others. But these two in particular, I mean, they get their money off the top. As Americans are facing $1 trillion cut in our health care, as we're being told that there's a back door in this big, beautiful bill that will lead to the privatization of Social Security. Americans are really struggling, Dwight. If you look at these town hall meetings that the Congress persons are having, they are, I mean, Republicans and Democrats, by and large, are taking big hits because Americans are not doing well, Dwight.
Much of that money, Santita, goes to private contractors
Mm.
who execute the war. Many of whom are based in these southern states that hold a congressman hostage because they're the basis of the jobs in a lot of the southern states. And they also control the media based public talk shows, the face the nation kind of shows, these same corporations. And so they're able to execute a strategy of propaganda to have people believe that they're the good guys and everybody else, including the Russians, are the bad guys. What they don't say is the country originally belonged to Russia. What they don't say is that America overthrew the last government, which was a democratic elected government, and imposed their guys in that because, again, they want access to the water and the land. And so they've drained the country, they've bombed the country in ways they didn't have to bomb it, and left the country in shambles. And, millions of people were dead. One of the things Trump said is it really was unnecessary for it to get that far because you knew they couldn't win And I said months ago, America was going to drop them like a hot potato when they cease to have the value that America was looking for. That is, value from the military industrial budget, of value once they figure out they won't be able to get the oil or the land. America would drop them like they do every country
Hmm.
that they get involved in war, and they drop them like a hot potato.
So what is that going to mean? I mean, how does that play out?
Oh, same way it played out in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Everybody who sided with America is going to either get run out of town or get assassinated, and they're going to overthrow their government. The president is going to move probably in a mansion down in Florida somewhere, or England or Canada, from the money he's been able to corral. And the people will suffer and call it a day. And America said we had a great victory. We saved democracy. Russia would take the land, probably cut a deal with Africa for the food. And the big wheels keep on rolling down the river, huh?
So, I mean, do you think so? Do you see the Ukraine conflict ending very soon?
Which conflict?
The it, I mean, Ukraine,
Uh, no, I think it'll drag on for a minute
because of the money.
because of the money. It's a
So, would
lot of
you
money
say
being
that
made.
all of this has been about the money?
All this has been about. And now they're running out of money from the military side. They're plundering the social economy, so they keep that money coming. And so there's a direct relationship between your social security being cut and more money going into the military industrial complex.
You know what? I just want you all to know, stay tuned because in the next hour we will be talking with Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds. It turns out they are going to flee the state to deny the governor a quorum. They are going to flee the state to deny the governor a quorum amid a special session. So, they did this before. This is how I met him in 2021. So, as the Republicans are seeking to redistrict and add 3 to 5 more seats, Republican seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Remember, they have denied Sheila Jackson Lee and Sylvester Turner's constituents a right to vote a new um, on a new representative since their deaths. And we're looking at Al Green, Congressman Al Green's district. He's lost a lot of his base, according to their new redistricting plans. Jasmine Crockett will also be endangered. Some of our Latino representatives will also be endangered. We want to talk with him and find out not where he's going, because he really shouldn't tell us that, but they're going to deny the quorum. And you remember 4 years ago, they were threatened with arrest, but the Democrats in Texas are about to flee. So we want to hear whatever it is that Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, who's also chair of the Black Legislative Caucus, we can't wait to hear what he has to say about that. Um, how do you think this is going to impact these particular conflicts, because they really loom large in our you know in our domestic politics? How will Ukraine and Gaza impact our domestic politics, or have we already seen that?
You've seen a lot of that, but I think you'll see now push back and fight back on the Democratic side because those seats really are at peril. And secondly, there's such a disarray now in the Republican Party because they didn't understand what Trump was talking about when he said, "I want to make America great again." They thought he was talking about when they had us under control. He didn't understand it's when the rich had the poor under control, the robber barons, and were able to exploit the poor. When you think about it, the last time America was great was 1491.
Ooh.
It was downhill after the end.
You mean before Columbus got here?
Huh?
You mean before Columbus got to the Caribbean? Because he didn't come to
Yeah,
the United States.
1491.
Remember, he was lost. He never even got here. Oh my
It's
God.
been downhill since then.
Why do you say that, Dwight? Why do you say it's been
Because they bought it with plunder and rape and thievery, exploitation,
and
and
disease? Oh,
the white Americans are not taught that for the first 3 or 4 generations, they were the basis of that. So they got enough slaves over here to pick up the slack. They use indigenous servants to do all of that. And so they're not unfamiliar with putting white people to work in the fields for no money. That's not a new phenomenon in America. Just most white people have not been exposed to that because they've always seen us as the face of that. But now Trump, they were talking about, let's take this country back to a place where we can put white people in picking tomatoes and cotton and pay them $3, $4 an hour and take all of the money. Let's put them in a position where we can take all the Social Security and privatize it, and we can make that money too. We can take education and privatize that and make that money too.
but Dwight, let me ask you this. Is this going to work? And I ask you this with this as the background. Everybody, think about this. Last week, we had this tragic shooting in New York City at one of the big corporate buildings, the Blackstone's building, on Park Avenue in New York. Now, Blackstone is the largest landlord in the United States. They own more places where people live that we rent, that we purchase than any other company in the United States. Tenant groups are pushing back against Blackstone all over the country because they hold them responsible for making rentals unaffordable, making housing unaffordable all over the country. This is something that is being discussed with tenant groups all over America. And when we had this shooting last week, Dwight, something very interesting happened. I lived in New York for a long time, and I still am very connected there. And one thing I do know is that you don't park on Park Avenue. And you certainly don't walk across Park Avenue, which is a boulevard with traffic going north and south, everybody. Multi lanes, 2 or 3 lanes on each side. It's one of the biggest boulevards in the city. You certainly don't walk across there holding a gun, a rifle. And they said that this young man was going to find someone in the NFL because of CTE, and yet one of the persons that he killed, they said he killed an executive. Dwight, that's not quite true. Wesley LePanter is one of the top executives in the country, if not the world. Excuse me. She was the CEO of Blackstone's Real Estate Income Trust. That is worth tens of billions of dollars. So the New York Post, which is one of the newspapers there, you have the Daily News, you have the New York Times. The New York Times is really national, like the Washington Post is really national in Washington, D.C. But the New York Post is like the tabloid. Everybody buys it. Everybody buys it. It's right wing, yeah, all that, but it does give you the news. Well, guess what they had on the cover, Dwight? And then you saw it, all over the country. They put her picture on the cover, and they had Luigi, as in Luigi Mangione, and people started saying that Wesley LePanter These are posts that were all over Facebook. CEO of Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust has been evicted from the mortal plane. This is something that you saw over and over again, and they did not talk about that. That's interesting, Dwight, in corporate media. They just let you believe that there was an executive that was killed. No, no, no. This is one of the top executives in the United States, if not the world. Because indeed, in Spain, they are the biggest owners of places to live in Spain. People in Spain have been protesting Blackstone. And where this young man went after, and of course he killed himself, right? You know where he went after he killed the police officer and her? He went up to the 33rd floor to Rudin Management. Rudin Management is one of the most prestigious real estate firms in all of New York. So it's very clear to me that his focus, I don't know how he went past the NFL, that's where they're based. He went past them and he went straight to people who were in real estate. How would you read that, Dwight?
Pretty much like you're reading it.
Okay.
It's revenge, said mine, said people who feel like they've been exploited by these companies, and as limited life options now, not unlike the executive from the pharmaceutical industry got killed by somebody who felt like they've been violated on their health options. And I think you'll see more and more and more of this.
Will you see more and more of the corporate media trying to cover it up? Because that's what it looks like to me.
You won't be able to cover it up at some point, cause people to be able to put the pieces together themselves. You start seeing that pattern emerge. Executive gets killed. He is who he is what he represents, and this is who killed him. And so I see a lot of this begin to turn around as the Trump crowd realizes how they got played, because many of them have a different orientation than the civil rights nonviolent crowd.
What do you mean?
The Trump crowd, many of them believe in violent overthrow of the government. They believe they need to be protected from the government. They are militia crowd.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to that for a minute. We only have about 10 or 15 minutes left here. Because I remember, my dear friend, may she rest in peace, Candace Simmons. She would always say, girl, you have to remember, Americans are seditious in nature. That is how the country got started. We just think that, there was a Declaration of Independence that was signed and that's the end of that. No, it wasn't quite that simple. It was a bloody conflict and it was a fight to the death. And this ragtag group of militias won. And some Americans are clear on that history, Dwight. They know it and they cling to that. They hold fast to that. Talk to me. Excuse me. I mean, what do you make of that, Dwight? Because that is very much a real part of our history.
Yeah, that's what pretty much I'm alluding to. Is that they're not going to be they're unlike us. They're not going to go to Afghanistan or go to the Ukraine and risk their lives only to come back and have it taken away from them without a fight. And so you begin to see a fight. And they're now beginning to be exposed to that in these town meetings. These Republicans understanding how horrified that these community people, these basic people are. These Republican meetings and these town hall meetings, and they're making their feelings known in such a way that you almost can't have those meetings anymore. And so you're going to see that attitude compounded.
So you see this as a harbinger of other things to come.
Oh, absolutely. not to come has come.
So it's here.
See,
Do you think, I mean, are the, I mean, is anyone aware? I mean, because they keep passing these laws that are squeezing Americans tighter and tighter and tighter, Dwight.
yeah, and that just enhances the pressure to respond from the other side, which is what you're gonna see a lot of.
So this is not a one off.
Except who gets shot now is gonna graduate
What do you mean
from
by
it's gonna graduate from children in high school, uh, and college students marching to executives in suites.
so? I mean, because it's interesting that online that meme took off almost immediately. They knew, or should I say, rather, they found out who she was pretty quickly. And I have yet to really see that. Well, there has been no deep dive in corporate media on Wesley LePanter and her background. Because she was someone of tremendous consequence, of tremendous consequence. Not that anyone is inconsequential. No, what I'm saying is she had tremendous impact. Everybody, this is someone who's at the heart of the fight for affordable housing in the United States. And Dwight, I just think Bernadette said, greed blinds people. You have not told a lie. But I mean, but we're watching these laws that are being passed, Dwight, and I just don't know. I mean, the money is not there, and I'm just wondering if, let's put it this way: the money's being taken away from the people. Where do you see this going? Because see, you lived through the '60s. You had your parents talk to you about the Depression. I mean, there's a lot of history that you carry with you. Just given what you've seen, given what you've experienced, what do you see going forward? Because now in your lifetime, we've gone from the back of the bus, literally, the Emmett Till to a black president, right? And there's that. I mean, that's a huge leap, at least visually it is. So you tell me, where do you see all of this going? Because I see more and more Americans who are now, I see the right and the left coming together, Dwight, in America. I mean, now more and more people are saying, wait, I saw Virginia Giuffre's family on CNN on Caitlin Collins' show. I think it was on Friday. Excuse me. And you can see that she was from a working class slash poor background. Excuse me. And they said, you have to understand, this is not about Republicans and Democrats. This is about people who've been taken advantage of. Dwight, talk to me about that.
About which part of it, Santita?
Well, I mean, I'm beginning to see some people, some white people in particular, because quite frankly, they've been told that they're special. And so it's a harder leap for white people to get over to where everybody else is living, right?
Yeah,
You see them beginning to say, "Wait a minute, I'm
it's,
getting jammed too," which is what you were talking, which is
it's
what you were
because
saying earlier.
it's because they've been more propaganda and have been the benefactors of the propaganda.
Hmm.
They've been more gullible than other people, but now they're seeing beyond the veil. So it's not so much about them coming together with
Us.
black people or the
Hmm.
Democrats. It's about them coming to their own reality that they themselves have been played, and they're the kind of crowd that really do believe in Thomas Jefferson saying, "If this government don't work for you, you need to get rid of it." And so they run the risk of vigilantism. They run the risk of assassination. They run the risk of the revival of the weatherman, the weatherman
Hmm.
who was bombing the Pentagon. Is because they're looking up, and it hasn't hit them yet, that they don't have enough insurance to pay for a cough drop.
Do you? So you see us really moving in that direction now?
Absolutely. All you have to do is listen to one of those town hall meetings.
I mean, because they're getting more and more. They're getting angrier and angrier. They're getting more and more verbally violent, and verbal violence precedes physical violence, and that is what is unsettling to me. I don't. No one. What my father has often said: "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth leaves everybody blind and toothless." You know, try eating with no teeth. So I mean, so just moving forward. I mean, do you see us moving into a place where we could even have anarchy?
Yeah, I see. An example is going to be, and I think he's totally misreading this. Is Trump and this Epstein situation? Trump really did believe that he could stand and shoot somebody in the middle of Wall Street or something and not get arrested. As long as he worked to the advantage, for the advantage of the people that supported him, then they could protect him that way. Now that he's become the other side,
Hmm.
they will deal with him like he is the other side. He is not immune, nor his crowd, from this. And that's what Republicans begin to find out.
So, because it's a funny thing. My father said you gotta know when you've lost the crowd, and more than that, he said you gotta know that you can lose the crowd. Right?
Right,
Um, I've seen it happen to him. We saw it happen to Dr. King, and it wasn't anything that they did. It's just black folks wanted to get to the presidency, and they got someone who got him there. So Jesse Jackson, shut up, sit down. I don't want to see you anymore. Dr. King, look, okay, I can sit on the front of the bus. I can. I'm now beginning to get these jobs. Shut up. I don't want to see you anymore. We've seen that happen, right? We've seen that happen in our lifetime. So my question for you is, so if you can project out, because the big beautiful bill, the the cuts are not supposed to really hit until just after 2026, after the midterms. And yet the cuts are being felt right now, Dwight. I've got about 3 minutes left here. Project out and help us to understand what we should be looking out for, what we are looking at.
uh, I think Epstein is going to be a good gauge.
Hmm.
I think Trump is talking about pardoning um,
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Elaine Maxwell and talking about giving Puff Daddy a pardon. And these tapes are now coming up where they showed him in the middle of a lot of these parties. And so people who was fooled to believe that they were operating in a moral imperative are now figured out that they've been played, that the dark state that he said he was going to expose, he actually is part of. And they're going to be profoundly upset about him.
Do you see that bleeding into the Democratic side?
Depending on how they act, depending on what side they on. If they try to justify this madness, absolutely. If they fight against it, they'll be okay.
Well, just moving forward, Dwight. We have all been praying for you. We're so grateful to God that your health is being restored. We had a wonderful time with your friend and brother beloved and his beautiful wife. Dr. Cornell West and his beautiful wife Anahita, my brother and my sister. We had a wonderful time at Push. Carol Soskin said Dwight is brilliant, and you absolutely are. And we have missed you, and we need you at this time. At this time, more than we can say, Dwight, because these are really perilous times, and we're seeing things, quite frankly, that we never thought we'd see. And so 3, 4 years ago, you did sound like you were a little different because you were. But now we're seeing everything that you foresaw. We're seeing it play out. You said Trump was going to get back into office. Boom, he did. You said he might lose, but he's not going to let it go. He's going to set up a parallel White House. And you absolutely were right. And you said, and he's going to run again and he's going to win. You were absolutely right. But what we didn't see was the crowd beginning to turn on President Trump. But I
Well,
didn't see.
what we didn't see is how consistent his decadence is, and it's a decadence, it's a contempt for the poor and a worship of the rich,
Mm.
and that he is perfectly willing to let the rich and the powerful run shipshod over the poor and vulnerable. And it's more people poor and vulnerable than they are any other kind of condition. That's what they had not seen before, because he made the Democrats the dog state. Not understanding the Republicans didn't, the mega guys didn't, that all of that was, again, a pretext in order to flip the budget to their side. And so you're going to see a resistance, a hostility that we've rarely seen in American politics
Coming up,
coming up.
Dwight McKee, everybody, and everyone is praying for for the restoration of your health. I told you, you have a lot of work to do, Dwight. We need you back. Want you back quickly. We got a lot to talk about. Coming up, everybody, it turns out it's just broken on the news that the Texas Democrats are going to flee the state so that they can deny the governor a quorum and deny and push back against his attempt and the White House's attempt to create 3 to 5 new districts that would maybe push Jasmine Crockett out, Al Green and others out. Oh yeah, and send 3 to 5 more Republicans to the United States House of Representatives. This is almost unprecedented. And we're going to talk about that coming up because he's meeting us on the other side of this break. So everybody stay tuned and hop on over to the next hour of the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, everybody. Let's talk about the district redistricting fight. It's coming up right here.